I'm Gwenifer Raymond for Acoustic Guitar magazine. I am a fingerstyle solo instrumental guitar player, and today I'm going to give you a quick lesson in my arrangement of the version of the song Idumea, or Idumea, depending on however it's actually pronounced. It's originally a sacred harp song. So sacred harp is this type of a cappella choral singing, in churches, that I believe kind of came about originally in the 1700s in New England, in America. So it's an interesting song to interpret because really what we're doing here is taking a specifically uninstrumented song, it's a cappella singing, and turning it into a pure instrumental version, but I think it works really nicely. It actually came about originally for me personally because I did a clawhammer banjo interpretation of it on my first album, but this version we're gonna do today is more of it. Well, it's a version adapted for acoustic guitar, obviously, in the American primitive style. So your guitar is going to be tuned to G modal. It's actually a really common tuning used in old time banjo. It's probably my favorite tuning, and it's got a really nice. So let's play a little. It's got a nice, distinctly melancholic ear with some very modal sound, right? And I really like it. I think it's a beautiful tuning. The tuning is it's going to be D, G, D, G, and then it goes to C, and then back to D again. So again it's D, G, B, G, C, D. Well, it's a pretty simple arrangement, right? So it's just got two sections. And the first section, after a sort of simple, your standard American primitive, kind of winding yourself up to actually start playing the song. The opening section is just a kind of a realization of the traditional tune, a simple version of the tune. The kind of main melody, I'll play you a little bit. It's a very simple tune. And we're really not moving around the fretboard basically at all. We're really locked into the sort of area here. And as it's American primitive interpretation, we're not really too worried about locked in technique, playing a song perfectly and exactly as it's written. We're more interested in representing the feeling of the song. So it's really important to, we introduce the melody and to know the melody, but to then be able to play freely around it and interpret around it and just kind of represent the vibes of the song. And this is why it's a particularly nice song to interpret in this style, because it's so simple and because it's sort of locked into this very particular area. It's really nice. It's really fun to play around with. So do play around with it. In terms of technique here, we're kind of using that, the traditional, that primitive thing of using your old alternating thumb. Obviously, I think that originally comes from Delta blues players or country blues players, pre-war stuff. But we use it a lot in primitive style guitar, and it lends a sort of drone to the song, which is nice, right? We have something to we're backing ourselves up essentially with it. And other than that, it's just lots of hammers-ons and pulls off, right? That's what we're doing. And again, because we're in this very localized area of the fretboard, it's easy to play around with this. There's a lot of improvisation to be done here, I think. It's really fun. So for the second part of the song, this section isn't a part of the traditional form of the sacred harp version of Idumea. It's actually something that I kind of came up with myself, originally on the banjo version of this. I originally arranged. It's really simple. It's not many notes, and the idea is to, introduce the idea and then play around with it. So if I can remember how it goes a little bit like. Again, you'll see I never play it the same way anytime. It's always kind of slightly different because I'm trying to play the mood of the piece. I'm not just trying to play a kind of static arrangement of it. Play around with it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to play the wrong note, because sometimes you play the wrong note and it turns out it was a great note. I don't know. I just find it more interesting from a creative perspective to play things freely and listen to what you're playing. Not just be thinking about what the next note is supposed to be. I mean, also I would point out that there is like a concept behind this bit. So in Sacred Harp, like structurally, you have these four walls of people in a square, and they all sing in towards the center. And in the center, you have like a single person who's sort of leading the song and keeping tempo and things like that. And as I understand it, it's quite an awe-inspiring experience being that person in the center leading it, because of one of the many aspects of Sacred Harp is that it's really loud. It's a very simple form of singing, and a lot of the passion just comes out as in a way as volume and drama. It's really dramatic, and certainly most of my favourite Sacred Harp recordings that I've heard are very, very dramatic, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get across in this section of the song, is that kind of that dramatic volume and wall of sound that you get sometimes in Sacred Harp music. So again, don't be afraid to play it loudly. So after that, that's the second section, and in this version that we have here, we simply go back to the third verse, same as the first, the traditional melody of the song. But I think really, playing the song live, you can kind of go through lots of repetitions of it, and as you repeat it, maybe once you've kind of introduced the core melodies, then you throw them away and they start to fall apart. You lean more in your improvisation, in your kind of creating that wall of sound, because this is an American primitive style interpretation, right? Which is a style of guitar playing which is quite drony. You can use that, right, to kind of create with repetition, a sort of meditative kind of state of the song, really pull, hopefully really pull the audience in, pull yourself in, kind of get lost in this sort of wall of sort of sound, and this really lovely kind of modal sound, modal melodies, which you can sort of break apart as you go. Yeah, so hopefully that rambling made some sense. It's a really fun song to play. It's a really pretty song, I think. So yeah, please, go away and play it yourself, and, don't forget to just improvise into it. Don't just be playing statically, this is the melody that I will play. It's meant to be, you know, an evolving thing, never really played exactly the same way twice. Yeah. So that's me for now. That was a quick lesson in a primitive, American primitive solo instrumental guitar version of the Sacred Harp song Idumea. I'm going to play you out with it, but in the meantime, for acoustic guitar, I am Gwenifer Raymond, and thanks for watching.